guys, I'm the young economist doing the hard work and research so that you don't have to. In order to understand that research, however, let's start basic with understanding what economies are based on. Money. Now, I'm not going to treat you like an idiot. Most people tend to know what it does. What I'm focused on here is what it actually is, and a piece of paper and metal is not what I'm looking for. Money is a form of currency, and currency goes beyond those floppy pieces of paper and stamped coins. But a currency is just something that is agreed upon. Currency could be literally anything though, as long as it can be traded. The three main things that are important for currency is able to be exchanged between the parties, to represent a value, and to be able to be measured against other currencies. Let's break down each one of those. Money would be next to worthless if there was no method in which we could exchange. The whole point is to be able to trade for goods and services. Your money becomes wasted space the moment you can't use it. For the value representation, having a very obvious notation like a 1, 5, 10, 20, and so on bill solves multiple issues. A single bill can't be worth any price, and this tackles inflation as well as keeping people true. Now, the last one is for trade rather than the average person, but it comes back to honesty. Due to many reasons, different currencies have different buying powers. Buying power, for example, is $1 for a pack of gum in the States versus 200 yen for a piece of gum in Japan. Any other thing that you can think of is more out of convenience. The wish for portability made currency commonly out of paper, as it's light and thin and can be easily be carried. Durability is another, as it's quite useful for currency to be able to handle a lot so that more than needed is not printed. I mentioned the idea of inflation earlier. By definition, that is a general increase in prices and fall in the purchasing value of money. Now, that definition can give people some trouble, so allow me to give an example or two. When your parents or grandparents talk about how it was only 30 cents to buy a piece of candy and it's now $1.50, this is the perfect example of inflation, because the price of the dollar has gone down and the cost of goods has gone up. How does the price of a dollar drop? Well, if we look at supply and demand, it states simply that the higher the supply, the lower the cost of the item. So as more dollars are being printed every year, the buying power of a dollar drops. Now, on the demand side, as people want more and more, let's say candy bars, naturally the price of those candy bars will go up. If a shop can get you to buy less for more to make more money, they will. However, there are main two forms of inflation: demand pull inflation and cost push inflation. Let's start with demand pull. This is caused when demand increases quickly and current supply and production cannot keep up with the consumer. This creates a high demand and lower supply, causing price of goods to skyrocket. Cost push inflation, however, causes prices to rise in a different way. When the cost to produce something becomes more expensive, commonly this is done by taxes imposed or minimum wage going up, both of those methods cause the price for production of a product to be more expensive, flowing down and hitting the consumer who, if they wish to have that product, must now pay that premium in order to obtain it. Minimum wage is a whole nother monster that I have every intent of turning into its own video. However, with this overarching topic of money, the basic income of minimum wage deserves a place in this video as well. In theory, minimum wage is the lowest legal amount that an employer can pay their worker. The lowest paid minimum wage in the US being $7.25 by multiple states, while the highest is $14 in Washington, D.C. at the time of this video coming out. The wage and hour division of the Department of Labor is who manages and makes sure that people are being paid correctly. So if you're not being paid your state's minimum wage, that's who you're going to talk to. Minimum wage came around after the Great Depression to do a couple things. Starting out on the federal side, it was intended to help stabilize the economy. This creates a basis standard that needs to be followed and doesn't create giant pay vacuums for the same job but in different areas. Secondly, it was used to protect the worker. The minimum wage was determined to be the amount that a family could live off. However, families, divided here by 4 people, stopped being able to live off of one person earning minimum wage back in 1980. Today's livable wage is just over $16, again for a nuclear family of 4. This is for basics and assumes only needs with no wants. This is all I have for today's video, but I wish to leave you with one last piece of advice. Download Honey. I'm not yet sponsored by them, but you have to be a fool to not want to save money on everyday online shopping. It's a simple tool to add to your extension bar. I use it on both Google Chrome as well as the Opera browser. Find it on the Chrome store on both. This was the Young Economist, making the complex a little more simple. Thank you.